You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers about hikers for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hey guys, it's Mighty Blue again. So welcome back to the podcast, Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. We've got something a little bit different for you, as I've been actually on the Appalachian Trail at the Woods Hole weekend, and what a weekend it was. Quite apart from the glorious weather, we had a stellar turnout of about 15 guests, along with the 5 presenters. I think it's fair to say that everybody left Woods Hole with more knowledge than they arrived with. Quite a few of the guests are planning a through hike next year, as am I, of course, and I don't think I quite realise how much I will be drawn back into the whole culture of the trail. I mean, I've never really left it, what we do in the podcast and so on, but I truly felt part of the trail once more, so it was good for me to be there. I should warn you, though, that even with the experience I've had on the trail over the years, I screwed up monumentally with my packing this year, and not for the first time, I must add. But it all worked out in the end, and I will tell you what happened over the course of this episode. What I did was to record 6 or 7 people, because I didn't think it would be right to have everybody saying much the same thing, and I think these short chats will give you a kind of glimpse of the weekend with a bit of my commentary in between. We're also going to include the summit and the last few days of Beth and Andrew's through hike. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record them at the top, though I did speak with them. As luck would have it, though, our friend Sloggy, a previous Mighty Blue class member, was with the two of them at the top and videoed them talking with me. I converted that video into an MP3 file so you can at least hear them talking with me while they're on the peak at Katahdin. Then I caught up with the two of them when they were back home and reflecting on their last few days on the AT. All of that will be coming up after I share the story about this year's Woods Hole weekend. For starters, it's a pretty long drive up from Florida, so Dana and I got up around 2:30 last Wednesday morning and got going on the 750-mile drive to Weary Feet. We alternated the driving, yet still got there just after 6 o'clock that evening. Well, we checked into the hostel, owned by one of our recent guests on the podcast, Bridget Bell, along with her husband, Eric. They're two very friendly people for whom nothing was too much trouble. Dana and I were checked into a private room and sat outside chatting with other guests who were staying the night, and of course Bruce Matson, who came up with the idea of the Woods Hole weekend in the first place. A tasty dinner was served up outside on the deck, and we all seemed to wilt as hiker midnight, or 9 o'clock, arrived, and we headed to bed. Unfortunately, on the way up to Virginia, our oil change light alarm came on, so we went out the following morning to get an oil change and pretty much took up the whole morning. When I got back, I thought I'd ask Dana what she was expecting from our upcoming short hike and her first night sleeping in the woods. Here she is. So, I'm now at Weary Feet. I'm with Dana, and we've tested out we can record properly with this machine, which is great. So, Dana, you're coming up to your first night hiking in the woods, sleeping in the woods. How are you feeling?
Oh my, how exciting is this going to be? Well, I never expected I'd do this in my life, so it's a brand new adventure. A little nervous, but I am looking forward to it.
And nothing to be nervous about. It's
The lions and tigers and bears?
No lions, no tigers, maybe the odd bear, I'm not sure.
And you've assured me there are no bugs on the ground for when I'm tenting.
For those listening, speaking of stage, of course there are. But not really, so it should be fine. And also, once you get into your tent, because you're going to be in a tent by yourself, and I'm going to be in my hammock. And once you zip up, you're completely isolated from the bugs. So just don't let any in.
There are none.
Okay.
I thought we discussed this.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out then. But it's you're excited about it?
I am excited, and I've enjoyed meeting the people that have been here, and I see we have a much bigger crowd, so this is going to be great.
Yeah. So we're going to start our walk this afternoon. We're going to go to Dismal Falls. It's only about 2.5, maybe 3 miles. Set up camp, have water, have a leave no trace thingy, then light fire, I think, and eat out of our. You got your mountain house food, I think it is.
I do, and you're going to show me how to use some fabulous tool.
I am. The tool is it cedar gear, something like that, cedar trail gear. The tool that digs a cat hole. So I bet you're looking forward to that. Well, look, we're going to record you tomorrow to ask what your first night on the ground was like. See how it goes. All right?
Wonderful.
So, I've got to hand it to her. She was heading into the unknown, but prepared to give it a go. If you know Dana, this is definitely outside her comfort zone. But she's always game to try stuff, and she treated it like another adventure. We're going to hear from her later when I ask how the hike and the camp went, as well as how she saw the overall experience. Before we left Weary Feet for our practicum, as Bruce calls it, and I'll tell you what that's about in a moment, I had the chance to speak with Bridget's husband, Eric, who told me this little story. So I'm at Weary Feet now still, and I'm with Eric, or Jukebox, who's married to Bridget. Hey, Jukebox, great name, by the way.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good.
Now, the reason I'm interviewing you to tell a great story. So tell me what happened to you this morning.
So I was running a shuttle this morning, and obviously with everything going on with Woods Hole weekend, we had a pretty full plate. And these girls called late last night and were looking to be shuttled. So we fitted in, and I picked them up, and we're driving along. And like it's very common when you're shuttling, you're getting the how'd you end up doing this here, story. And so as we're going along, and I was telling them, why we were busy and why we had to squeeze them in. So the one girl in the back was like, well, who are the presenters? When I explained the whole concept of Woods Hole weekend, I said, well, there's several, but I said, there's really, I guess, two trail famous people. I said, one is the guy that Bruce that writes the Platinum Blazing, the Appalachian Trail every year. I said, and then the other one is a big podcaster. I said, and he goes by Mighty. And before I could get it out, the girl's like, is it Mighty Blue? And I'm like, it is Mighty Blue. She's like, oh my God. She goes, I follow his podcast. I listen to every one of his things. He's fantastic.
Oh, that's so funny.
And it was like my daughter, who is much younger, talking about the Jonas Brothers, like that level of excitement. Like, she's like, oh my God, sister, should we cancel our day? Maybe we should just go hang out there and we can meet him and get autographs and take pictures. And I'm like, well, I said, I don't know that he's going to be there all day. I said, I know they're doing something with a hike this morning, and then they're having lunch, and that's where we come in. And then I think they're hiking out after that. So I said, I'm not sure if he's there now or if he's left and coming back. I said, he'll be there for lunch, but it's a narrow window. And I said, and it's kind of an event that people signed up and paid for. So I said, I don't know how that would all work out.
Making it sound like an exclusive event that they couldn't have turned up to.
Yeah. Well, it is a little exclusive, I guess.
Yeah.
But she did. They just went on, and she was talking all about all your podcasts and how that's inspired her, and that she said she told me to tell you. Number one, she said to tell you hello from the Jones sisters from North Carolina. But she said she's planning to thru hike next year with her husband.
All right.
And given her age, she said, I truly, I was concerned about whether or not I could do this because I've sectioned hiked for years, but the actual doing the whole thing start to finish. And she said, I really believe I can do it now. And it's thanks to him and listening to his podcast and the people he's had on and hearing their stories has really validated for her and made her believe that, yes, this is possible. So they're in the final planning stages, getting their plan together for being gone that length of time. And
which Jones sister was this then? What was her name?
I wish I could remember the first name.
I tell you what. I'm hiking it next year as well again. So hopefully we bump into each other and you get the picture then.
Yes. Well, and she knew that you were planning to hike again next year. She's like, he's done it twice, I think. Yeah. And she's like, he's talking about doing it a third time, and she's like, he is just such an inspiration. And
that is so nice.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Nice.
She went on and on. It truly, it made me come back thinking like, again, I'm not a huge podcast guy, but I knew the notoriety and the fame that you have accumulated.
I love the idea of notoriety, but I'm afraid I'm not terribly notorious. No.
They kind of go hand in hand, I think.
You could be right.
But she said that you've inspired so many people, and you could definitely put her up on the list that your work has made her believe that this is possible.
Well, that in itself is a lovely thing for somebody to say, so I appreciate it. And I appreciate you telling the story. And it's not to boost my ego. It's just that I love the idea that someone has thought enough about the guests we have on the show to think they can do it as well. What I always say is they think if that fat old bloke can do it, I can do it. So I hope the inspiration was worthwhile. But thanks for sharing the story.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You know, I could have included that to stroke my own ego, but I wanted to include it to show you how simply communicating about hiking and backpacking with other like-minded people is so important and in many ways inspirational to others. My emails tell me that this show has reach, but it's nice to learn that one of my fellow hikers next year will be this particular Jones' sister and her husband. This isn't an easy thing to do, and many people fail by simply not entering under the arch at Amicalola Falls. As someone once said, 90% of life is just showing up. Remember, there will probably be, 4,000 starters next year. And we all know the odds. Only about 800 of us, or maybe 1,000, will make it to Katahdin. But we're showing up. Thousands of others would like to do this, but they aren't showing up. So if this podcast can convince you that the hike is doable for you, then I'm satisfied that we've made an impact. So with that little story on my mind, we set out on the fairly short hike to Dismal Falls. It's a little over 2.5 miles, and it gave Dana a really good impression of the sort of terrain that's on the trail. I know that my impressions of the trail prior to actually getting onto it back in 2014 were that it was a whole lot wider, but it's only by stepping onto the trail that you can see and feel what it's like. To be honest, Dana hadn't eaten much that day, and she seemed a little shaky after a while. We kept resting and taking our time, but I eventually took a pack from her for the last mile or so. As we got into camp, she remarked that we'd made 1 or 2 minor adjustments to her pack by giving it to me. So we got there, and it was then that I paid dearly for packing 2 packs. Dana was originally going to be using my Z-Pack Duplex, but I'd lent that to Beth to complete her through hike. It didn't matter though, as Neville was lending me one for her, and it was going to be brought to us by Becca, another of the presenters. It turned out that Becca wasn't well that day, so she couldn't make it. As luck would have it, Joanne, or Garmin, another of the presenters, had an extra kind of large tent that we could use. We started setting it up, when the struts broke. Dana and I were starting to think about sharing my hammock, which would not have been nice for anybody. But Joanne got a bit of duct tape out, made a couple of running repairs, and the tent was up. My hammock was also up at this stage, but it was then that I discovered I hadn't brought my quilt to use in the hammock. Even worse, I hadn't transferred my puffy from my car into my backpack, so I was facing a night in the hammock with no warm clothes. Dana said she'd be fine in the tent with her puffy and me with the sleeping bag in the hammock, but at 1 o'clock in the morning, she clearly wasn't fine, so I gave her the sleeping bag and she gave me her very thin, very small jacket to use as a makeshift quilt. It was cold, but no one died. We made it through the night. I never cease to amaze myself, you know. I forget stuff. I simply do. It's kind of gratifying to be humbled in that way. The trail always humbles you, and this was no exception. I know that when I'm getting ready next year, I'll be checking and double-checking and triple-checking my stuff before I set out. The morning came, and we headed back to Weary Feet before setting off for Woods Hole. I didn't interview any other people that day because I wanted them to experience the place and a few of the sessions before I found out how they were enjoying it all. The rest of the day at Woods Hole included sessions on the physical side of hiking, the mental side of hiking, and plenty of subjects that make up being out alone in the woods. Add to that the beautiful meals by Neville and our wonderful gratitude circles, which are a tradition of the place. We had an idyllic day. Luckily for Dana and me, Bruce had kindly volunteered to move out of one of the safari-style tents that Neville has, so Dana and I were warm at last. The next morning I chatted with Matt, a retired firefighter who had plans. Believe me, he had plans. Here he is. So this is Saturday morning. We've had a day here already at Woods Hole. And firstly, Matt, introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
My name is Matt Robertson. I'm from Alexandria, Louisiana.
And what was your drive to get here? 15 hours or something?
About 14 and a half, about 900 miles.
Oh, that's a long way, isn't it? Has it been worth the drive?
Every bit.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, this place is magical. We've just seen sunset, haven't we? Did you actually see it?
I saw the sunrise this morning.
Sunrise,
Yeah.
rather. Yeah. It's quite spectacular.
It is. It sure is.
So you've got plans. What are your current plans in terms of hiking?
I have about 18 months left on my career, and then I'm going to retire. And I've been planning a through hike the year I retire for quite a few years now. So it's coming up pretty quick, and I'm trying to learn and absorb everything I can about the trail, the culture, the routines. And this was the best opportunity to do that at a gathering of potential through hikers as well as experienced ones.
Sure. And how you feel about it's gone yesterday? Did you? I mean, you were there obviously on Thursday night for the practicum.
Yes.
Where we slept at Dismal Falls. How do you think it's gone so far for you?
It's gone real well for me. I've learned a lot of things that I need to clean up and I need to have a little bit more practice on. But overall, I think that night went very well. It was a nice hike. Had a fairly good night's sleep.
These are things are all relative, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. The first night in the woods is never a great night. I don't think anyway. And then we came back obviously, and we drove over to Woods Hole. Have you been to Woods Hole?
I have not been to Woods Hole. No, this is my first time in Virginia, actually.
I've got to tell you, man, you've got to temper your expectations for hostels. This is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
They're not all like this up the trail. So when do you think you're going to start in 2027?
Somewhere between the 1st and the middle of March.
Right.
I retire in May, but I have some time built up that I'm able to take off about 45 to 50 days prior to my retirement date. So,
have you got support at home?
I do. Everybody supports me to the extent that they understand what I'm doing.
Which they don't.
No, they don't. Not fully. They think I'm crazy. But I guess I'm fortunate that my family probably won't miss me too much. They're kind of ready to push me out the door.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that could be true at all. So what are your expectations? Do you have expectations of the trail, or is this something that you feel you're just going to let it unfold, or are there things you're actually looking for?
That's a tough question. I have some expectations of finding myself and maybe experience some sort of life-changing direction, whatever that may be.
Right.
And other than that, it's just an adventure, just something that I've wanted to do for years. And I don't know what's going to hold for me. That's kind of the magic about it, is to see what becomes, not forcing anything. And
it's funny, you were there yesterday when we were talking about the discussion about what happens after you finish the trail. And in your case, you're retiring and then going straight out on trail, aren't you?
yes,
Which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because you're not actually starting your real retirement until after you finish the trail. Have you got thoughts on what you might do after the trail, or is that just too far ahead for you?
no, this is actually part of a whole network of things that ever since I started my career 28 years ago, I've compiled a spreadsheet or a list of different things that I wanted to do.
Oh, really?
Across the country, and this was one of them.
Oh, wow.
Some things on my list will take 5 minutes to see and do, and other things obviously are going to take me 6 months.
How long is the spreadsheet, by the way, Matt? You got to tell us that.
I have over 1,000 entries on it.
That's
And
awesome.
it's everything broken down by each state. And there's a category at the bottom that is non-state specific, and that's where the Appalachian Trail ended up.
Well,
Because
funnily
it's
enough,
multiple states involved. So it's a general category. And once I finish this, I hope to start on item number 2.
wow, that is some planning. I mean, you probably heard last night that Bruce planned his trip on a spreadsheet all the way from beginning to end. You going to do that for this trip as well, so you know roughly where you're going to be all the time?
I'm going to bounce around. There's going to be no particular route to it. I'm just going to, when I come into a state, I'm going to hit everything in that state that I want to. And if I do the next adjacent state, I may skip over 3 or 4. I'm not going to have a schedule or any kind of routine on the rest of it.
That
Just
is
whatever comes.
that
I've
is
had,
awesome.
being a firefighter for 28 years, I've had a lot of time to contemplate this and to work on things that I want to do. So I'm just excited to get started.
I bet you are. Well, we're pleased you're here, and thanks for joining in, and ask as many questions as you can, because as we all say, there are no dumb questions because there are so many dumb things that happen out on trail.
That's right.
Welcome to us.
Thank you.
Cheers. How about that? A 1,000 item bucket list with the 80 at the top. What a great idea. And Matt is one of those guys who retire then actually start their retirement after the trail. He seems to have mapped it out, so good on him. Shortly after speaking with Matt, I collared Brad, who had plans for a Nobo hike. Yet, as you'll hear, he was having second thoughts because of one of our sessions, while his support team, who is his sister-in-law Denise, was also having some thoughts of her own. Here's Brad and a little bit of Denise. Right, I'm sitting here with Brad. And Brad, you coming to the Woods Hole weekend. It's now the Saturday morning. How do you think you went yesterday? And you camped on the night before?
Yeah, I came to the little hike to Dismal Falls.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Enjoy it?
Oh yeah, very much so. 2.5 miles isn't much, but
It still feels part of the trail.
you get a little bit of the feel.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I didn't think I really would, but so certainly as I got out there, it's that, for me, it's that feeling of kind of being at home and so on. So what are your plans for your hike?
Originally, I'm thinking mid-February, leave, go northbound. And after listening to everybody last night, I'm starting to think I'll do a flip-flop, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll go from Harper's Ferry down to Springer, then Harper's Ferry back up to Katahdin, but I'm not sure that's going to get me what I want. What I want is try to avoid the big bubble.
Why is that? Why do you want to avoid it?
I want to be able to enjoy the trail mostly on my own, but I wouldn't mind some people. I just don't want a mob of people. I'm thinking about campsites and overcrowding. I'm thinking about shelters when I need a shelter and overcrowding, resupply.
It's distinctly an issue
Shuttles.
in those early months, but you're going quite early. And February, I know more and more people are going early, but you are going quite early. And frankly, 25% will drop out within the first 50 miles. So, you'll find it less and less.
Right, and that's why I'm kind of leaning towards my original decision.
There is, for me, my listeners already know that I would only ever want to go northbound. I will go southbound as well, because you can go northbound and then you can go forward and then go backwards, and as long as you've got connected footsteps is all that matters. How long have you been thinking about doing this?
I've been thinking about it probably for a year, but
really not that long.
Not that long. I never thought of it because I never thought I would be able to do it.
Right.
But the more I started carrying things, the more I started hiking, I'm like, well, I could probably carry a 20, 30-pound pack.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of going that far. But mentally, I think I could overcome some challenges.
What did you do in real life?
What did I do in real life?
Yeah.
I was a estimator for a heavy highway construction company, mainly bridges.
All right.
So a lot of desk time.
So going from couch to Katahdin is what I used to say. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look quite fit. So you've been working out and getting ready for it?
Oh, I've been working out for quite a while, and I think if I'm going to do it physically, this is the time to do it.
And how old are you?
I'll be 60 when I hit the trail.
Oh, wow. You bloody 60. Oh, my God.
I'm 59 and a half.
Oh, right.
I'll be 60 in February.
All right.
That'd be the first week I hit the trail, February 18th.
Birthday, yeah, 60th birthday. It's a wonderful experience, and I'm sure you'll have a good time. What are your expectations? What are you hoping to see?
Just the beauty of nature, and I want to do it as a reflection. I recently retired. It's a challenge. That's my initial interest, but it's going to be a reflection of where I'm going to go after or during my retirement. It's just time for myself to reflect on my life and where I'm going to go after I get off the trail.
And there are more and more people who retire and go there now. It seems to be, a lot of the people here are retired, aren't they? Or about to retire, which is quite interesting to see the bands. Probably because they can afford to do it more. There's more.
Exactly, to have the time.
That's right, yeah. And what have you thought of this so far in terms of yesterday? Did you enjoy it?
This is a great experience. I highly recommend. I'm fortunate I heard it on Ramdino's podcast, and I'm glad RTK was able to fit us in. Denise and I were latecomers to it, and
Denise is your support. Is that right?
Yeah, but she, after spending time here and listening to everybody, now she thinks she might try it. That's what she was telling me last night. And I'm like, so I've been thinking about it for a while, planning, and watch her want to do it, and she'll be the one to complete it, and I won't.
That's going to piss you off, isn't it?
Yeah, it will.
No. So your start date in your mind is what now?
Mid-February. I don't know if it'd be, I'm trying to think that.
Denise, stay here.
President's Day.
Stay here. Now, I'm going to pass this over from Brad to you, because he says,
really am not a good.
He says you're thinking. You kind of like the idea of doing it
last night.
I thought about it last night, and I decided that I have a habit of starting new things and not finishing old. I have some things on my to-do list
right.
before I can commit to what it takes to do the AT.
Well,
But I can commit to being support staff.
there you go.
And I can commit to being able to hang with them when he hikes.
That is so cool.
So I'll stay in shape. I'll stay at my fighting weight.
Well, as you just heard, Neville has just rung the breakfast bell, so he's ready for breakfast. But would you go together, the two of you? If she decides she wants to do it?
Probably. I think we could
That'd be cool.
maintain the same pace, and we have the same interest.
Yeah,
We
cool.
want to see the historical stuff and go
Yeah.
off and look at the.
How cool. Well, that'd be lovely. I hope that the journey works out for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I told you, it is inspiring to talk about and hear about hiking the Appalachian Trail. While she didn't say she was up for a through hike, Denise has certainly moved it into the realms of possibility, while Brad was reconsidering his own plans. It's just like being on trail. You hear new information or somebody makes a compelling argument, and you take that new information and incorporate it into your own plans. Now, Denise may well not go, and Brad may go the traditional no-go route, yet they are considering changes based upon what they heard. I hope I meet both of them out there next year. Next up, I spoke with Julie, a fellow class of 2014 AT through hiker who has now adopted a kind of wandering life, including another big stint on the AT earlier this year. She is an outdoors woman through and through, and Woods Hole was another stop along her way. Here she is. Lunchtime now, I'm sitting on the porch at Woods Hole overlooking this great view, and I'm sitting here with Julie. Hey, Julie.
Hello.
Tell us about yourself. What have you been doing recently in terms of hiking?
So in 2014, I through hiked the Appalachian Trail.
We didn't meet each other.
No, we did not.
That's right.
No. But this year, I decided I'm taking this full year off from work, and I started hiking the Appalachian Trail on February 18th of this year and hiked 770 miles. And then I went back to Maine, got my car, drove to Montana, lived out there for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Then I came back and traveled around Maine, and here I am at Woods Hole.
You are traveling, aren't you?
Yes.
So your hike in 2014, how did that compare with your hike this year? I know you decided not to finish it this year, obviously.
Right.
But what was it? How would you look at the two hikes and think, well, this one had this and this one had that?
A lot more hostels this year, a lot more shuttle drivers, a lot more trail angels, a lot more trail magic than 2014.
Tons of trail magic this year, isn't it?
Yes. And 2014, we were on trail most of the time. We were only off trail, like we came to Woods Hole and maybe 2 other hostels.
Wow.
And that was it throughout the whole hike. And we went to, so all of our resupplies were mainly grocery stores and convenience stores.
Sure. Well, you actually said to me, you actually found it was almost too easy this year.
Yes.
The hiking isn't too easy. It's just isn't it the infrastructure around it, you think?
Yes, for sure.
And does the trail lose something then for you?
I think it did for me a little bit. Although I loved the hostels, I loved the idea, especially starting in February when it was so cold.
Sure.
It was nice to have a place to go
And warm up.
and somebody would pick me up and warm up and spend a day or two if the weather was bad. But I think I got more immersed in the trail in 2014 by being on it more and not being off trail so much.
I think you're right. You know, the only comparison I can make is that my 2019 hike against my 2014 hike, I didn't do the 100-mile wilderness I didn't go back to shores in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, I went back 4 nights, which is ludicrous.
Right.
And the last night was a 2-hour drive out.
Right.
Yeah, it was, that became too easy. And I can totally relate when you said this the other day that, you know, it is a little bit easier. I don't think that's a bad thing because people will find it's more accessible, and more accessible is not a bad thing at all.
Right.
So, you got any aspirations? Because you're here now with in terms of the backpacking. You've obviously got backpacking experience yourself.
Right.
What are you picking up from this trip?
I thought that being here at Woods Hole.
Yeah.
So I thought that with all of the people presenting and all of the people who are new to it, that I could still learn something from everybody here. And also, I love being around new hikers
Yeah.
because they're excited about it. They have a lot of questions, but I think that I also like to help calm their fears around the whites, because a lot of people there's a lot of I don't know if it's fear mongering, but a lot of people talk about the whites and then people are afraid.
Yeah.
And I feel like you don't have to be that afraid of it.
You don't have to be, but I feel exactly
You have to be
the same.
aware.
And I think approaching the AT the second time for me was I knew what to expect.
Right.
And not knowing what to expect, the fear of the unknown is a very real thing.
Yes.
So what about the hikers in that difference? So you're 11 years distant from your through hike.
Right.
How different was the hiking community?
So when I hiked in 2014, I was with my daughter and I was hiking with 20-year-olds.
Right, yeah.
And so I had a group and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
Right.
Like we were climbing trees, we were doing all these different things that like
You were
the
climbing
older
trees?
group.
Yeah, good to
Yeah. And so now I tended to be with and not all of them are older, some were in their 40s. But it was different because kind of one of the main groups, they were my age.
Yeah.
And so they were a little more serious.
Sure.
And trying to get them to lighten up a little bit.
It is slightly more serious though when you are older, I think, because it's an endeavour, isn't it? And you realise it's an endeavour. When you're young, you don't fear anything, do you? You've acquired fear over the years normally when you get a bit older.
You do. I didn't acquire fear, and I still don't have that fear of hiking. I'm very confident in how I move because I work out a lot. And I wasn't sure of how this year was going to be compared to 11 years ago, but I still hiked the same amount of miles. I was a little more tired, but I could still, like I did a 28-mile day.
Wow.
I was tired for a couple of days, but then I was jumping right back in.
So in terms of being here, what have you taken from this trip?
I think being with a group of like-minded people is really great. I love talking with everybody.
Stories.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out where do I fit in now at this point with hiking, with the AT. Do I want to be a part of it with Trail Magic, or do I want to be a shuttle driver, or do I want to, I don't know.
You're making your mind up as time goes on.
Yes. Yeah, as it goes along.
Are you going to be hiking after this?
I'm sure I will be. I think I'm going to come back and I'm going to give Carrie a ride to the trailhead tomorrow.
Oh, right.
And I'm coming back and doing work around here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. Well, Dana certainly wants to thank you for lending your poles because I typically didn't supply the mental things I was supposed to. So we appreciate you doing that.
No, always. Yeah, it's always nice to help people out. Yeah. And the fact that I don't use them.
Well, thanks for talking to us and enjoy the rest of your year.
Thanks.
Those reflections on the infrastructure was actually quite comforting for me as someone who intends to be making use of that infrastructure next year. And of course, it's going to be different from my 2014 and 2019 hikes. But for me, that's a big attraction, not a problem. And I like how she referred to finding her place on the AT. This trail grabs you when you surrender to it and it keeps enfolding you. Most of us are kind of powerless to resist it. As I always say to people, be careful what you wish for. The Saturday was pretty much all about gear on the trail, with tents, sleeping systems, packs, even things to dig a cat hole. Everything to do with what you're taking on a trip like this came up. Then Bruce split us into individual groups for pack shakedowns. I had two guests, Walt and Doug, and their choices were illuminating. I've always said that I only know how to get me to the end of the trail. As you've heard, I always screwed up along the way and kind of muddled my way through. Who am I to tell anyone what to do or how to pack? But these shakedowns were done with love and accepted with grace. I'm not sure if every suggestion will be accepted, but it was interesting to see how well both Doug and Walt were open to suggestions. It brought home to me that we may think we know what we're doing, but another set of eyes on your pack is nearly always a good thing. I hope that the guys got something valuable from that session. Then Neville shared the point of view of the hostel owner, and we finished the evening session around the campfire, sharing our experiences together. I was able to catch up with Joanne, or Garmin, as she added her reflections on the weekend. Here she is. So it's the it's actually, for me, it's the end of this trip. Woods Hole on Saturday evening. I'm here with Joanne, or Garmin, who we followed on the AT not too long ago now. So you're here as one of the presenters, Joanne. How do you think it's gone?
I think it's been fabulous this weekend. We have a large crowd of hikers who seem ready. They just seem to be absorbing all of the information as well as bouncing out their own information. And it's just been, I've learned things as well as shared things.
Yeah, so have I as well. Yeah, I think of all the, I've been to I think 3 of these, or maybe 4 before. This has been the most prepared group of people, I think. A lot of them are ready to go now, aren't they? But we both know that the odds of them doing it is 25%, 20% maybe.
Yes.
Have you looked at the people who are going, think to yourself, they're going to make it and they're not going to make it? I'm not asking you to share who, by the way, because this is going to be on the podcast.
I actually haven't, because I just assume that people will make it. Of the people that I hiked with and the people that I know, we all finished. So I forget that it's such a small percentage.
That is true. That is true. So what have you learned from this trip then, this journey?
In particular?
This weekend, actually.
Yeah. Little things for me, like, am I going to be able to think of it now on the spot?
Okay, I can cut this. That's the good thing about this.
Yeah.
Frog togs for me. Well, for me, it was the frog togs, which I'd never considered as rain gear. And I've got to tell you, the way in which Becca or Roan introduced those frog togs to us, I thought to myself, that is one item I'm definitely going to take on my trip next year.
Yeah.
So what other things you've met these people and they've shared their stories with you? What have you picked up from them?
I picked up lots of information about other trails. That sounds interesting to me. Yeah.
Oh, really? Which trails are there?
The Superior Trail.
All right.
Up along the...
one of the Great Lakes, isn't it?
Must be Lake Superior.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, there's a bit of a clue there in the title, yeah.
Along the Boundary Waters. Hiking in the Boundary Waters.
Yeah, that doesn't appeal to me in the list.
Picture rocks.
All right.
Pictured rocks.
All right.
That's I've seen information about that. They're just beautiful, and I've never had opportunity to talk to people about that part of the country before. So,
and do you think we've covered the things that most people wanted us to cover? Because there haven't been as many questions as I've expected, and I wonder it's because the people think that it's a dumb question. They don't really want to answer that question, or they don't really want to ask that question.
I don't think so. I find this is only my second time at this event, but I find that people are very open. One thing maybe is that people have asked the questions in personal conversations.
Yes, that's when they have asked questions, and that is easier for people to do as well.
Yeah,
and I think that's been the best part of it. These little breakouts, or between getting coffee in the morning, or just between the sessions we have. Do you think we've covered most of the things that people need on the through hike? Because I know that when I did my first through hike, I had to learn on the fly. I had no real knowledge of hiking. YouTube videos were going, but they were hardly there at all.
Yeah.
And I just kept making mistake after mistake. I would think if I came to a thing like this, I would have learned so much more and been much more prepared to go.
I think that I can't remember the question.
I was talking about I was talking about how I wished we'd had something like this where I was hiking.
Yes.
It taught me things, and I wonder if you thought the same sort of thing.
Yes, I know when I started, I had watched a lot of YouTube, and still when I got onto the trail, I liked my gear, so I was well prepared for that through that medium. But still, when I got on trail, I thought that they didn't really show the true feeling and lifestyle that it takes to hike and how hard it is every day. So I'm wondering if they'll have that same sense of it. Like they have this intellectual sense of what it's like and the details, but they don't know what it feels like yet. So
I think a very good guide is have you been to trail days when you were on the trail?
Not when I was on the trail, but
Right.
the year after I
Right.
did.
And I remember going there as a presenter, not as a through hiker. Going there as a presenter of something I was doing.
In the author's tent, I think.
Yes, in the author's tent. That's right. Yeah. And I remember looking at these hikers thinking, I was that person a couple of years ago, and they looked so grungy, and I felt so actually distant from them in many ways, because once you assume you're part of that, once you assume the role of being in that family, it becomes what your life is at the time, isn't it? And I think that it's only by actually doing it yourself that you can learn all the intellectual stuff, as you say, or the stuff that helps you to get through a hike. It's that way in which you absorb yourself into the lifestyle that I think that makes all the difference to most of us out here.
I agree. You can't feel what it's like, more than likely, until you're out there doing it. But I'm watching some people now looking at different tents and discussing, and one thing I think is of great value is that we bring gear. Everybody has brought gear.
Yes.
What they think they're going to carry, or to find out that it's not what they're going to carry. And they're getting ideas and real opportunities to look at the live gear that they might want to use on the trail.
Yeah, and that is extremely valuable, because I can see stuff in a shop, I can see stuff on YouTube, but until you actually touch it, feel and get inside it and see what it feels like to be lying in a hammock or lying inside a tent, which is quite small, and they soon realise that a one person should not be in a one person tent, do they?
I like my one person tent, so I don't agree with that.
I know you do.
But I can say that when I chose my shelter and purchased it, I did it knowing myself, and yet still when I got inside it the first time, I was panicky at home in my own dooryard, because I thought, this is so small. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do this for 6 months. And it still ended up being the right choice for me. I love it, and it's my little cocoon and my little, lovely, cozy place when I'm out.
There is something about zipping the rest of the world out, even though it's so frail, really. But you zip yourself into your cocoon and you're away, aren't you?
Yes,
I am every time.
It's just a little barrier between you and the outside thing.
Do you think you'll ever go again?
I don't think I'll hike the full Appalachian Trail again.
Right. You've scratched that itch.
Sometimes the itch comes back.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other things that I want to see and other places I want to hike. So I have a list that's prioritized a little bit by difficulty, so I can try to knock off the more challenging things before I'm too old and moving on and saying I need to be more careful. So I definitely love seeing the world from that vantage point. I know somebody said to me, the details are nice, but it's hard to beat the vistas.
Yes. And
I agree, it's hard to beat the vistas, but I also love seeing the hidden details that create that vista.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm glad we actually, the first time we've met in person, so I'm glad that I've had a chance to meet you in person and to be part of the presenter group, and appreciate talking to you.
Thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure hearing you present and getting to meet you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love that she, as I did, learned some stuff. Just being around other hikers and allowing yourself to be open to their thoughts and ideas is very compelling for me. I had to return to Florida early the next morning, and in fact we set out at 2:30 a.m. on the Sunday morning and got home while it was still light. This afternoon I sat down again with Dana and asked her to reflect upon her experience and that first night in the woods. Here she is. So Dana, we're back home now, and you have now attended your first ever Woods Hole weekend. Before we get into the whole thing, tell everyone how you thought that hike went and what the overnight stay in the woods was like for you.
Okay, there's no place like home.
Good start.
It was good. I'm not sure what I expected. I've never stayed in the woods. I've never been in a tent. I've certainly never hiked anywhere. And I think it was a good experience. It was kind of tough, but it's certainly beautiful out there.
Well, you've been very kind in not mentioning the fact that I failed to bring two of the main items that we had, and I'm going to talk about that in my commentary, so we don't need to go into that. But we were actually lent a tent by Joanne, weren't we?
Yeah, I need to thank her and a couple of the ladies, because Joanne gave me a tent, and then God bless Julie, who gave me walking sticks, which I couldn't have done it without her. I would have stumbled all over the place, because I found that I was looking at my feet the entire time between the rocks and the boulders and the tree stumps, and wow.
There are plenty of those, yeah. And you said it wasn't how you'd imagined it. So how had you imagined the AT to be before you went out onto it? Because I know that when I went out onto it, it was such a shock how narrow it was. And you felt similar to that as well, didn't you?
I did. I felt like I could fall over. But my overall picture of the AT is that, sure, there's gravel and rocks, and you're going to go through some of that. But then mostly it's a nice, green, easygoing path that you're just going to walk. And I've seen the pictures of you climbing through boulders and up rebar. But I actually thought the one with the boulders, that he's just doing that. There's probably a side path he could take where he just walks around it. So I did not realize it was so hazardous. I had no idea. That trail is not for sissies.
Well, that part of the trail, did we ask everybody what they thought of the trail? Or they asked me what I thought of the trail, didn't they?
You and Bruce both said it was easy.
Well,
that was an easy section.
It was relatively straightforward. And did it give you some insights about the trail that you didn't have prior to this weekend?
I don't even know how to answer that. I was just overwhelmed by how long those 5 miles were, or 6 miles were, that took 5 hours to walk. And I kept thinking, how is he doing 2,200 of these miles? It's beautiful. I didn't expect it to be so beautiful. It was great.
By the way, you should know that we went back to Weary Feet, and then we drove to Woods Hole. And you should know that Woods Hole is not representative of every hostel on trail. I know that you really enjoyed it there. What did you particularly like about the place?
It was like a bed and breakfast. Neville has the most charming place with different accommodations and the best home-cooked meals ever. And it's so colorful and light, and there's a real sense of community and a communal spirit there. And it was just charming. I would go there just to spend a weekend. It was lovely. If you have a chance to go there, you got to go there.
And what about the various sessions that we had? Because we had a pretty full weekend after that, didn't we? We actually did leave early Sunday morning. But what about the sessions that we had, particularly the ones that you actually attended as well? Did you pick up much from the presenters?
Well, I was surprised when you and Bruce did the thing where you were weighing people's backpacks and then checking their contents, how heavy so many of those packs were, and how these hikers didn't realize that was going to be a burden, and how many items were inside the backpacks that you guys kind of suggested they rethink. I thought that was incredibly informative and helpful. And even little stuff like going down and filtering water. I don't know how to do that. There were so many good sessions there. It was really terrific.
When I interview people for the podcast, they often remark about it being the people. When we were driving back, you were particularly complimentary about everyone we met. Now, you obviously see now what I mean when I talk about the hiking community, and you got a glimpse of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I absolutely get it. This is the nicest group of people I've been around in I don't know when, and they were all welcoming, and everyone helped me. I mean, it was lovely, between the walking sticks from Julie, the tent from Joanne. Thank you, Joanne, because I was with an experienced hiker who didn't bring me a tent. And the kindness of Marilyn, or rather Taser. It was just a lovely experience. I got to know these people. They became like friends in this short weekend. And I was actually so pleased to know that you're going to be among a group of people like this.
That's cool. Cool. And did any of this make you want to put your life on hold and go into the woods for 6 months? By the way, I know the answer to this one, but this hasn't converted you into wanting to do it, is it?
Oh, not at all. If anything, it has made me realize my limitations, and I could never do what you're going to accomplish and what all these fabulous people are going to attempt. That is not something I could do. Because it's not a walk. Now, you said the Camino was a walk, so yeah. I'll do that. But the AT seems treacherous, and I would never do that.
And we didn't.
I hope that's not a problem.
And we didn't even take you out to a treacherous part either. But I'm going next year. So from what you saw, are you more comfortable about that, or are you less comfortable about that?
I'm much more comfortable because I see the people you're going to be surrounded with when you do choose to walk with people, when you do get to these hostels. I'm more comfortable because I have a better visualization of the trail, and I know that you can handle yourself brilliantly on this trail. I'm comfortable because, this is where your heart lies. You're going to take care of yourself. You're going to take your time as needed. And yeah, it's going to be fine. I mean, obviously Holly and I are going to miss you, so you might have to FaceTime the cat, but I'm fine. We're going to miss you terribly, but I'm much more comfortable about your safety and your health and well-being, knowing that this is the community that you're going out with.
Well, that's cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I know you did enjoy it, but I know it was an eye-opener as well, and it should be an eye-opener. People should go along to this with an open heart and with prepared to learn and prepared to share their knowledge as well. So I appreciate you coming along and sharing this weekend with me.
Well, if I can say, Bruce, and of course you and the presenters did a fabulous job, and I don't know how you couldn't do that first day. You talk about the trail and sleeping in a tent, but how can you learn anything without actually experiencing it? And I think that was the most informative day, personally, was that first experience.
The overnight. Yeah, I know. That's right. You did say that to me, that you thought people it should be mandatory necessarily, but it was something people should not avoid. But frankly, most of the people did go, didn't they? There were quite a few of us in the woods, weren't there?
Oh my gosh, yeah, much more than I expected. And that was another experience too, being so close at night with strangers in tents, and of course having to go use the facilities, which, there weren't any, but that was fun. Yeah, community. It was all community.
I know that was special for you. Okay, Annie. Well, thanks for sharing your ideas. Cheers then. Bye.
Bye.
I've done a few of these Woods Hole weekends, and I've always learned from them. But I've mostly appreciated my good fortune in being involved in a community like this. I've now hiked over 10,000 kilometres, and each one has tested me, enlightened me, and filled me with, maybe not always at the time, but filled me with a joy that I can't get enough of. I don't know if next year is my last long hike, but I do know that I'll be returning back to Woods Hole with joy for the trail and a joy for my fellow travellers. And that is part of my love affair with backpacking, and it's something I will be forever grateful for. Now, let's catch up with Beth and Andrew as they finished their hike last week. As I mentioned before, I was unable to record them at the top, but luckily Sloggy was videoing them as they talked and celebrated with me. Here's that short audio.
Sloggy is here with us, and
I'm recording you.
and he's recording us.
What was the climb like? Did you enjoy it?
It was good. Those climbs up with the rocks, those big boulders, those are
scary.
Kind of, a little bit. But.
It is a bit, especially when you get immediately above tree line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, I'll tell you what I have to do then. And it's a shame I can't record you at the top. For some reason, it's not allowing me to. And possibly because I haven't got proper service or something like that. Because I'm at Weary Feet on the Appalachian Trail now, funnily enough. So, it's kind of weird. But look, I'll catch up with you again on Monday if I can, and we can sort out a recording for this Thursday about the whole last few days. Okay?
We may be on different planes on Monday, but we'll let you know.
I'm going to send you links, so we can add somebody.
Okay. Okay.
Well done, you guys. Anyway, enjoy it.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Steve. Bye.
Bye.
I'm so glad that I was able to add that. But this Wednesday, I caught up with the two of them, back in their respective homes as we put a final lid on their journey. This recorded fine, but I'm aware that quite a few of those Woods Hole conversations were a bit indistinct. I think I've had a week of tech gremlins. All I can say is that normal service will resume next week. Anyway, here are Beth and Andrew, home at last. Beth and Andrew, first, many congratulations on making it all the way to the end. It's a pretty sweet day when you head up Katahdin, isn't it?
It's so great.
It's kind of bittersweet, though.
Oh, is it really? In what way?
Well, because it's over, but it's over. So
yeah. Over's good and over's also bad. It's funny how these mixed emotions tend to be there. And I know you're both home now and trying to regain some semblance of normality. In fact, Beth and I have already talked about it's nice to be back at home. How are you both feeling physically, and how about emotionally? How about you, Beth?
Physically, I'm doing good. Other than I keep whenever I wake up in the middle of the night, I think I still have to walk.
Oh my God.
I'm all confused about where I am because this was the first night in my own bed. So I've been been traveling to get home. And I think that was part of the problem. Hopefully tonight I won't be confused that I have to walk again.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So did you, when you touched, we're not going to talk about the summit day itself, but when you touched the sign, what was the feeling when you first touched the sign? Was it emotional? Was it, thank God it's over? Or, I mean, how were you feeling?
I think kind of during the whole trail, thinking about the sign, and as you get closer, you kind of get more emotional than actually getting to the sign.
Sure.
It seems to be more emotional in your mind than it is actually when it happens. But I still kind of teared up a little bit and then we also, Beth and I, we spread some of my dad's ashes. So I think we kind of teared up more with that.
And that must have been really special. I actually want to talk about that in a moment. Before, though, we talk about the summit day, let's finish off the rest of your way through the 100-mile wilderness. Okay. I'm not entirely sure where we left you, but I seem to recall that you're about halfway through and that you'd taken 7 days worth of food to carry you all the way through. How did that work out? Because that's a lot of food to be carrying, isn't it?
It was a lot of food. With the first couple of days, there is some ascent there, and I was like loaded down with food, and it was kind of hard, but it was fine. And then eventually you eat all the heaviest stuff first, and then eventually you get down to the end of the package.
So were you out of food by the time you came onto the Golden Road, out of the wilderness?
I was not out of food, but I think Andrew was.
Of course
I had only the dehydrated meals left. I didn't have any snacks or anything. It was kind of poor planning on my part.
And what about Trail Magic? You got Trail Magic in the 100-mile wilderness, did you?
Yeah. Let's see if I can remember his name. Sir Stops-a-Lot. Sir Stops-a-Lot nice. And Captain Jack, and there was another one, Hawk, I think his name was. And they just set up, and we got chicken dumpling soup. Like homemade chicken dumpling soup. That was really good. And it was perfect because I didn't have any snacks, and that just got me. I know your memory of this, and I know one of your tattoos. By the way, listeners, he's put a tattoo of a microphone on here as well, which I thought felt a bit strange about it when I first heard about it, but I think it's lovely. I feel the podcast is part of your hype, but you also put some snacks on there, didn't you, or some food stops or the deli stops? Well, I got the deli blaze, and then when I got the microphone for the podcast here, because I was thinking that you were part of this whole experience too, so you should be represented in the tattoo.
Nice.
But another one I got was Trail Magic. There's a grill and a sign that says Trail Magic and a picnic table with snacks on it and stuff.
I tell you what, you've had a remarkable access to Trail Magic like I've never heard. I cannot wait for next year, I tell you. So I think you said to go over Whitecap when we spoke last week, though it isn't anything like the previous mountains. How did you enjoy the wilderness as a whole? And I know you don't think it's much of a wilderness, Andrew, but generally that 6 or 7 days you were in there, what did you enjoy it? For me, I loved it the second time particularly.
I thought it was great. What I liked about it is pretty flat.
Yeah,
it kind of gives every part of your body a little bit of break. But when you finally get to, I guess see Katahdin from Whitecap, it was like, oh, it's so close. But then after that, then it's kind of flat for the last 50 miles.
And there are plenty of gorgeous lakes along the way. But it's always a pretty contemplative time. Were you actually ready to be over when you were in the wilderness, or were you kind of regretting it was coming to an end? Because I know, Beth, you said to me when we spoke at the top of Katahdin, you were kind of ready for it to be done.
Yeah, I was ready for it to be done. It was nice to have that 100-mile wilderness where we were all together and doing the last part, together. I was ready for it to be done just because it was so long to be gone from friends, from family. But
you made all your friends and family turned up all this time.
That's true. That is very true.
You brought your retinue. Is it retinue along with you?
Yeah, if you're going to stay friends with me, you had to come.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's cool.
And coming out onto the Golden Road and then onto Abel Bridge, that site at Katahdin was pretty daunting for me. It hits you right in the face, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just right there, just right across the pond. And the next day is only 10 miles or so, and it's pretty easy. So it's kind of, we had a little victory party there, a little early celebration.
But it felt, you do realize. I always remember looking at Far Out. You had Far Out, did you? The app.
Yeah.
The elevation that you suddenly see of Katahdin right at the end it seems almost vertical, doesn't it? After the previous few days, and I believe you camped at Abel Bridge, and then you had that easy 10 or 12 miles into Baxter. Once you got to Baxter, were you in a shelter or did you tent there as well?
We were at the Bishop Camp. I think it was called Bishop Campsite, and there was a little shelter there.
Okay. So what day did you actually summit? Was it last Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
It was
Okay.
Thursday.
And tell us about the day. You got up early, I presume?
I got up early. For once, I was up before I looked back. I wasn't up before Beth this time, but
oh, really?
Second place isn't so bad.
All right. So what did you set the alarm? Yeah. Or I mean, I found it. I was almost too nervous to go to sleep. So what did you do, Beth?
Yeah, I was up and I was excited to go and nervous and all those emotions of, being the last day. And so I got up, and then when Andrew was up and then looked back, finally got up and we just decided, we were going to leave early and get it done.
It's like It's like waiting for your kids to wake up for Christmas. You want them to open their presents, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like the last day of school.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. Yeah. So tell us about those pretty easy, actually, early miles. It kind of lulls you into a bit of a false sense of security, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's kind of it's relatively flat. You follow up a stream, and it has some really nice waterfalls and stuff, and
I think it's easy.
I think I like rinsing my face off with the water because it feels so nice. But I think I did that, and then the rocks just start all of a sudden. It's like boulders. Go ahead and climb these now.
Yeah, because that's immediately you go above tree line. It's quite a sight, I know. And I know that you were a little nervous of these last two states, really, Beth, before you got there. How did you cope with that straight up climb?
I was very nervous. And I'm not usually a person who worries about heights. I haven't had a problem with heights in the past, but it really looked a little daunting to me, the straight up and the rebar and all that stuff. And so I got in the middle of the two guys. Usually I'm at the end. I got in the middle of the two guys, and I thought, well, someone can push, someone can pull if they have to, and I will get up here somehow. And because some of I have short legs. It's so hard.
That's a problem on a lot of the trail, I think, because if you think back to the trail, there's a lot of quite large steps, aren't there, on the trail?
Yeah.
That must have been pretty tricky for you as well.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, Andrew, you were totally up for that climb, because that is real adventure stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. I wasn't nervous at all. But I thought it was a good time, because anything that kind of breaks up that the green tunnel, I think I've said that before. Just climbing up rocks and boulders and stuff. It's change it up. I love it.
I must remember thinking. I do remember thinking when I was going up there, this is going to be I won't say the word I used, but this is going to be tricky. This is going to be tricky to get down. Some of the climb down. Did you come down the same way, by the way?
We did.
Yep,
we
same
came
way down,
yep.
huh?
Right, and it's not easy, is it? Because you could kind of relax because you got there, but you don't want to relax because you can fall quite easily, couldn't you? Imagine injuring yourself badly on the way down.
At least you'd have gotten there, though.
That's right. That is true, yeah. And then you get to the tablelands and you start searching for the sign, or at least I did anyway. It's pretty elusive, isn't it? I took me a long time to see the sign, and I'm kind of peering into the distance. I just could never see it. Did you see it pretty early on, or what?
So there was kind of a lot of people up there at the sign, so that helped. I just assumed that the crowd of people there were standing around the sign, so that kind of helped. You could see it from about a mile away or so. But yeah, it was great. You think about it for 2,200 miles, and then finally there it is. Everyone cheered us on. when we got there. There was the group of people,
All right.
and we were going to stand in line and to get our picture with the sign, and the rest of the people were mostly day hikers, and they said, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
You earned this. You go in front of the line.
Yeah.
They move back, don't they? There's a certain amount of respect that's kind of earned along the way, and then you touch the sign. It is. Everyone has a special moment. It may sometimes be flat, but it's a special moment because that's it. It's over. And I'm very pleased to see, by the way, you both sent me your pictures, and you did listen to what I said about getting your pose, because you've got good pictures at the top of the trail, the top of the side, which is really worthwhile. And you mentioned you spread some of Wayne's ashes at the top as you had along the way. That must have been really special for both of you, because he's followed you literally along the way, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was with us the entire way.
I'm sure he felt that. So what's next? The PCT or the CDT? Where are you going next, the two of you?
I'll do like a weekend hike, but I don't know if I'm going to do a through hike again. I can see why people would do it more than once, but that's a long time, 5.5 months to do that. It'll take me at least 6 months this year, so I won't be 5.5 months. But we'll just see how it goes. But look, I'd love to say I've really loved following along with you guys. I'm so delighted that all three who went this year in the Mighty Blue class finished, which is fantastic for me. It would have been shocking if you've given up after a week, wouldn't it? Really. So
the pressure was on.
I hopefully that I didn't intrude upon your hike too much, and that you enjoyed this part of it as well. And all I can say is, you and I, Beth, I'm sure we'll hike again someday. And Andrew, I hope we get to meet as well. And I
hope so too.
And I just wish you well. And I apologize for being on your arm for the rest of your life. But
we so enjoyed being part of your podcast this year. It was so fun for friends and family to get to know us in a different way, and with the whole interviewing and it was great. You're a great interviewer, and we felt very lucky to be part of this class of 2025.
Appreciate
it. Thank you very much.
And I can tell you, by the way, I'm now going to start watching your YouTube channel. I wouldn't watch it while I was interviewing because I didn't want to have any idea about it. I'm now going to start watching it. Probably watch it from beginning to end now. So
you won't. It's not as interesting.
Oh, guys. Well, look, lovely to talk to you. And I'm gonna get back to you again in about 3 or 4 months just to get reflections, and we'll talk again then. Hopefully, we won't have the technical glitches we've had today to get this done. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
So they made it, and they've completed our Mighty Blue class of 2025. I have loved speaking with them, and have always been aware how they have scattered Wayne Stenjum's ashes along the way. He was Beth's husband and Andrew's father, a constant presence for them on their journey. I always end this podcast with, "I'll see you next week," which I will. But I thought it would be appropriate this week that we should give Wayne, in a short voicemail from a few years ago, the last word.
Hey, well done. Congratulations. Proud of you as always, bud.